start with a question for the table, and I'd love to hear from everyone. But we're 2 years into the ChatGPT era and the LLM boom that's ensued. How has this era changed or not changed how you do your job and how you think about startup opportunity in your areas?
In Israel, we are an early stage VC, and obviously we saw a huge boom with the number of Israeli Gen AI startups. So the number of Israeli startups that relate to Gen AI increased dramatically, like exponentially every year, which is enormous. And actually today we are third after US and UK with the number of vertical Gen AI companies. And also we are third with the global with Gen AI VC global economy, which is enormous also because it actually indicates a huge trust that we gain from the global economy and for the outside investors. So from our perspective, this is something that we should focus on. And it's very much aligned with our portfolio companies because today, I think that Jonathan mentioned it also earlier, 20% of our portfolio companies are also somehow related to Gen AI and mainly to vertical AI.
I think one of the biggest impacts of the LLMs in the US, of course, is you can run every idea through them and get some quick feedback of like what, it's like this amazing research tool to see what other people are already doing. But I think actually one of the scariest things is something that it actually keeps me up at night is how quickly people and founders can build prototypes now using sort of all of the open source models and many of the closed source services as well. But despite being able to build a prototype over a weekend, building a product takes actually longer to actually sort of like figure out the features and harden it and scale it and kind of do all of those things. But because people are able to build prototypes so quickly, I think it actually is dissuading founders from starting companies because they sort of see that like, oh, innovation can happen literally in 48 hours. And like, can I build something that's then defensible? I went to a hack night with probably about 100 engineers and other folks, and like in 3 hours, they're like building prototypes for their ideas. And they may be real businesses or not, but all of a sudden the volume is multiplied.
For China, I think ChatGPT released in November 2022 actually took us all by surprise, especially so in China, because before that, literally from 2018, the trade war, to 2022, in China, we all talking about the hard tech investment, people talking about the semiconductor, chips, hardware, etc. No one was talking about the AI. No one is care about the AI. But bang, the ChatGPT came out. Suddenly in China, people, we are so lagging behind the US artificial intelligence development. So it's kind of we experienced a period of panic at the beginning. So you can see that all the companies, governments actually put a lot of money, effort into the AI industry. And now I think we are still behind the US, maybe several years, maybe 1 or 2 years. But people are kind of reach a consensus that we should have AI industry, AI ecosystem by our own.
As for Southeast Asia, we probably has less depth in terms of tech talent, or even like business model innovation. Like over the last 2 years, there's really a large number of AI companies, but many of them are copy the models happening in other regions. So what will be interesting for us in the coming years actually is more like how do they apply the Gen AI capability into local data sets and local business model situations. And I always try to tell my friends that Southeast Asia actually benefited a lot from the last AI wave. That in this region, there's at least 3 or 4 unicorns leverage machine learning to do large-scale consumer lending, which get them into like $1 billion type of valuations. And what happens in the future is that the Gen AI capability will probably bring down the cost of other type of service deliveries, which are more unique to emerging countries. So at this moment, we are accepting, but for us that not many of our investment has been in this area. But on the other side, India side has been really interesting because India traditionally really have a lot of SaaS companies tackling a global market. So those SaaS companies kind of like come up strong, kind of take the opportunities of Gen AI, bundle it together, and kind of ramp it as a service, service and software, and with human in the loop. And it seems they are really making a lot of progress, and we do have quite a few portfolios on this direction.
Yeah, actually, I think things are different in China because in China we literally have no so-called enterprise software market. It's unlike the US. In China, I think all the public software companies, the market cap combined, it's less than 100 billion US dollar, less than that. So combined, all the software, public software companies in China. So it's a very small market in China. And I don't think it will change much soon. So why is it different? Because, as we are seeing the AI large language models are going to be integrated with existing software products, I think the customers, from the customer side, I think they can see the value promptly. But in China, because we have no such competitive SaaS industry, I think in the US, maybe half of the enterprise software are SaaS companies. But in China, we don't have successful SaaS companies at all. So I think it's much harder for Chinese companies, software companies, to incorporate the AI functionality into their existing products. I think on the other side, maybe some of the software startups can leverage the new AI technologies to develop a new software offering to the customers. It's not like that they have a platform for them to integrate at once, but I think there's opportunities, but not as so easily as in the US.
It wasn't that long ago, it was actually about 5 years ago, that technology was bad, social media was bad, right? It was like technology is taking away jobs and stifling innovation and ruining everything. And I mean, it was just, every day you were bombarded by this press. And then in 2020, obviously we had this little pandemic issue that forced everyone to work from home. And all of a sudden, people who could and who were knowledge workers became dependent on technology for their jobs. And all of a sudden, technology was a savior, right? And all, at least in the U.S. and actually around the world, technology stocks were on a tear, infrastructure stocks on a tear, trading at higher multiples. And in November 2022, when OpenAI launched ChatGPT, and now we see all of the other models, whether it's Llama or Claude or Mistral or what Anthropic's doing, it feels different. It's maybe let's spend a minute on like how does it feel different? And at least my own perspective, and this is kind of Genping was talking about, is for the first time, technology is actually taking away services work, and it's getting rid of a lot of rote work. Where before it was like, well, I had to hire a developer and I had to hire a product manager and I had to conceive of a product that was going to do these things all just to take a paper form and turn it into a digital form. But with AI and agents, all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't need forms at all. I can just have a conversation about how updating my driver's license or whatever process needs to happen. And so you can kind of see this change happening of not just from a business standpoint, but of how people interact with applications, but even what is the role of a software developer and a product manager, and how do products get conceived if I can have a conversation with a computer and we can conceive an application again in a night. It's pretty cool though, right?